this is 5 reasons why AI sucks at marketing. Let's start off with the good of AI. Just because AI sucks at marketing doesn't mean that it can't be a tool that's used for marketing or something that we're saying not to use by any means. You know, AI does have its benefits when it's used properly to enhance the overall campaign. So the bad of AI is really that it's limited on the data that it has access to is one of the big things. You know, the data is not always up to date. It doesn't have a full data set. Has to rerun through that data every time it pulls a query. And then you're going to be limited on whoever created the AI as well, you know, based on the data that they had and the data that they inputted. So the ugly of AI marketing is that AI makes mistakes. And it can make mistakes on massive scales that can cost you really, really big. It doesn't understand context, it doesn't have emotion, and there's potential for plagiarism issues, copyright infractions, things like that, since basically all it is, in a nutshell, is a giant search engine pulling data from copyrighted places. The data quality is a really big issue with AI. You have to think that there's biases in the people that have created this data, you know, what their opinion is, what they think, their education level, like how was this tool developed? Was it developed by somebody that's actually knowledgeable? A great example would be like in SEO. If somebody develops an SEO tool and they have limited knowledge or no knowledge of SEO, how good is the tool going to be? Is it just going to go through and just screw up all the rankings in the site because it's based on poor logic? Those are some of the really big concerns with data quality. Another big issue with data quality is the datedness of it. So the data that ChatGPT has access to is from April of 23. So you're writing marketing articles, you're writing things that are about up-to-date policies, this and that, in law, for example. All your information's a year old. That's not good. You're not putting out anything new. You're putting out old, regurgitated content. That's one of the reasons why it's really, really easy for people to see if it's AI written, because the data's dated. Like Gemini, for example, when we asked it about its quality data, it doesn't have access to real-time data. There is a delay in the data that it has. It has to be fed into the system. It can search the internet and like look for information and things like that. However, it has to be prompted to do those things. Another real big thing to consider with the data too is that it's not really stored data. Like, data has to be searched every single time and reread every single time. So what that does from a programming standpoint is creates big loops of data. So it becomes harder and harder for it to analyze all this data. So what does it do? It emits results. So as you go through and you keep prompting ChatGPT or prompting Gemini, the data is going to get worse and worse and worse because it's going to be omitting big, huge pieces of that data each time. I think another thing to consider, since this is basically a giant search engine, it's a giant plagiarism tool. Most of that content is copyrighted that's on the internet. It's pulling stuff out of books, it's pulling stuff out of copyrighted information, and then it's presenting it as new content. That is, to me, going to be a long-term copyright issue. Another really big thing to consider is AI makes mistakes, and it does on large scales, and it's pretty substantial. We have a bunch of examples that you can check out as well. AI really lacks emotional intelligence. Like, it doesn't have emotions. It's basically a search engine. So it's just searching data and putting data strips together. It's never experienced anything. It's never experienced love. It's never experienced the feel of salt air on its face. Without actually understanding how that stuff feels, you lose connection just by assembling words together. So I think a big problem with AI in general is its lack of emotion. And, you know, you can see this in a lot of companies that have already tried to implement it. We have some examples below. They've made mistakes of, you know, just basically desensitizing themselves and just, you know, not connecting well by using AI marketing campaigns, and just even AI persona in general. There's that lack of emotion that's really, really critical when you want to really connect with your audience. So AI AI really doesn't even have creativity. That's another huge problem with it. I mean, like, it has no foresight, no forward thinking. It doesn't understand how to create anything new. It's just basically, like I've said 100 times, pulling all that data that's already out there. So there's no new information in there. There's nothing beneficial in that aspect. And it can't create anything new. It's really not creating things that are new. It's just taking things that are old and reorganizing them. That's because human beings just do things that simply don't make sense to the computer. They do things that defy logic, that have no explanation. That's the unique thing of what a human being is, and computers, at least at this level, don't understand that. AI content can sometimes be super repetitive. Like, for example, imagine you're a plumber and you're looking to create social media posts for the month. So you go to ChatGPT, type in the prompt, hey, I'm a plumber, give me social media posts for the month. Boom, you get it. So then your competitor goes and does the same thing. They get the same or similar stuff. Then another competitor comes in and does the same thing. Then another, then another, then another. You get what I'm getting at. Everybody starts pumping out the same exact bullshit. What that leads to is consumer fatigue. They get tired of it. They're like, what the hell is all with all this garbage? It has no personal touch, no emotion, no creativity, and it's flooding the internet. When you put out this crappy content, the consumer is going to know very quickly that it's AI generated. That shows that lack of care, a lack of respect, lack of a connection with your consumer, and that's a big problem with AI. It takes away that human connection with the customer. In marketing, it is extremely important to be creative and forward thinking, and that's why AI sucks at this aspect of marketing. Another big problem with AI is that you have to be really, really, really specific with your prompts to get exactly what you want. I don't know about you, but I've been frustrated many times typing in prompts and it's not giving me exactly what I want, and you have to just keep fine-tuning and fine-tuning and fine-tuning. A lot of that has to do with the fact that AI just understands words and how you place the words together. It doesn't really understand the context of those words, the emotion attached to those words, or the general meaning of those words. It just understands how to put words in a specific order. So the problem with that is that those trying to create these prompts, going through this process, and that eats up a lot of time. And then it becomes that like cost, time basis kind of concept. I mean, is it really worth the effort and the time put into it to get less than par content out of this system? I mean, the content it's kicking out isn't that great anyway, and you're going to spend all this time trying to learn how to get bad content. That really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think that using it as a tool to maybe enhance a little bit, get a little bit of an edge, to improve some aspects of it and for some general brainstorming is a great idea. But when you use it as this end all, that's where the big problems come into it, and that's where that disconnect comes with your audience. Human language is very complex. There's different dialects, different terms. It's massive. The scale is massive, and it's ever changing. Like, one day you can say this, one day you can't say that. If the data is outdated in ChatGPT, what's going to happen? It's not up to date. It doesn't understand what's going on in the current trend, the current market. That can create huge issues with your customer base. That can also create miscommunication issues, as well as overall issues with your brands. Here's a great example of like AI not quite understanding, terminology or words. Like, I'm a surfer. Everybody in the surf world says, send it, send it, send it, which means like charge, go, go, go. Say that to the robot, see what it gets context out. Be like, send what? Where? To who? How? Mail? Letter? Post? What the fuck am I sending? Send what? To where? Yeah, exactly. Another big issue with AI is marketing or SEO sabotage. Google and Facebook have both had AI tools for multiple years now. We've seen them, we've implemented them, we've tested them, and unfortunately, since those tools were created by Google and Facebook, for Google and Facebook, the results that we get from utilizing these tools is, best. It definitely benefits them more than it benefits the customer. When we use a lot of these AI tools and suggestions that they offer, we've noticed that it's important not to take their suggestions literally and to be very careful implementing anything that they recommend, because most of the time the manual things that we do outperform the AI suggestions significantly, hands down, 10 to 1. Well, basically these tools kick out a bunch of low quality, repetitive, non-original content. There's no new concepts, no new ideas in there, and to the point where it can even pull your competitors' information into your own content or your website, which could cause major issues. So when you start pumping out all this low quality content and just content that's not proved, content that doesn't have any value, content that just basically sucks, to have a better lack of explanation or word to explain it, that bad quality content it can destroy your image. It can destroy your campaign. If you're not proofing it, God knows what they're putting in there. And what's worse about it is it can pull your customers and your competitors' information. We've gone over the 5 reasons why AI sucks at marketing. Let me close it on a little bit more of a positive note and kind of say just a couple quick things about AI that it can help with your marketing. For example, even with content creation, it's a great tool to outline your content, but you need to go in there and put a personal touch to it. You need to add new content. You need to make it original. You need to give it value to your customers. Without value, it's just going to get lost in the space of the world. Nobody will ever see it. Nobody will ever care about it. It can dilute your voice brand and just in general not be